The stars were quiet that night, as they had been for thousands of years. Nothing moved near the edge of the void, not even dust. The Galactic Empire had placed warning beacons there long ago. Do not enter our dead space, they read, blinking endlessly into darkness. But on this night, something blinked back. Admiral Threx sat in his warship's control chamber. Sipping bitter root tea, his screens were full of the usual cargo reports. Border scans, weather anomalies, nothing exciting, nothing dangerous, until a red light blinked once. Then again, a forgotten sensor, right on the edge of the void, had picked up a signal. "Sir," said his comms officer, her voice suddenly tight. "It's a ping from the S9 dead zone." Threx blinked slowly. "That place is sealed." "Exactly," she whispered. "That's why this is strange." They played the signal through the speakers. It was not a scream, not a cry for help. It was a hum, soft, steady, calm, and under that hum, a voice, human, speaking old Earth standard systems. Online, the voice said, awaiting command. The bridge fell silent. No one had heard that language in real time before. Only historians knew it, and even they had only books. Threx stood, his hand shaking slightly. "Run a deep scan," he said. "I want eyes on whatever sent that signal." The scan took 27 seconds. When it completed, a hologram appeared in the center of the chamber. It showed a massive object, floating silently just outside sensor range. It was black, longer than any Imperial ship, with edges that bent light itself. It didn't match any known design, but one thing was clear: it was moving toward them. Slowly, purposefully. That's not possible," the science officer stammered. "No human ships survived the old war." Threx didn't answer. He remembered the ancient legend stories about Earth's final weapons. Ships so advanced that even after humanity vanished, their creations stayed alive, waiting, sleeping, guarding. But this couldn't be one of them, could it? "Give me the energy readouts," Threx ordered. They appeared instantly, and that's when the room truly froze. The ship had no power core signature, no fuel trail, no engine output, yet it moved. It bent space around itself like a ghost. Ship made of black holes, and worst of all, its shield patterns were constantly shifting, unreadable. "Perfect. It's like it's thinking," whispered one of the junior techs. The words made everyone uncomfortable. Ships don't think, not even the Empire's best AI-controlled carriers. But this one did something no other ship had ever done. It looked at them. The front of the strange ship opened slightly, revealing a glowing blue eye-like sensor. It turned slowly, calmly, and locked onto the Imperial ship. "Is it charging weapons?" Someone yelled. "No," the tactical officer said, sweating. It's just watching." Then, the human voice returned through their speakers. "Peace or war," it said. "Your choice." And just like that, the signal ended. The ship vanished off their sensors like it had never been there. No warp trail, no jump flash, no trace, gone. Admiral Threx sat down slowly, his hands cold. This was bigger than him. This wasn't just a relic waking up. It was a warning. Humanity had once ruled the stars, and everyone had cheered when they fell. But what if they hadn't fallen? Not really. What if they had simply waited? "Send word to the Imperial Core," Threx said, voice low. "Tell them, we've seen a ghost." But deep in the void, that ghost was still moving. It had one mission: to find what was left of humanity's enemies and remind them of a truth long forgotten. Humanity never dies, it only sleeps. The Galactic Empire had ruled the stars for nearly 9,000 years. No rebellion had lasted more than a season. No enemy had ever returned once defeated. But now, fear moved like smoke through the halls of power. Fear that something ancient, something human, had come back inside the Grand Imperial Tower. A secret council meeting had begun. 12 High Lords, cloaked in deep crimson, sat around a black stone table. Each of them had controlled galaxies, decided wars, crushed systems, but now they stared at the hologram of a ship none of them understood, a warship that didn't belong to any living race, and yet it matched descriptions from humanity's last days. "The dead builders," whispered Lord Corrin, his voice cracking, "the ones who vanished, leaving behind machines with no masters." Lord Vencia scoffed. "That's a myth. Humans were destroyed, we saw to that." "But this ship," said the data priest, spoke in their voice, using ancient Earth standard. "We ran the audio 4 times. "And what did it say?" asked the Empress Regent, eyes narrowed. The priest hesitated, then played the message again. The voice echoed in the chamber calm. "Confident, not angry, peace or war, your choice," it said. No threats, no commands, just an offer that scared them more than any weapon, because only someone strong, truly powerful, could speak like that. Not in hate, but in control. Admiral Threx joined the meeting via hololink. He looked pale, tired, his face lit by the glow of emergency lights. "We scanned the ship 5 times, he said. Each time, the readings made less sense. It uses tech we can't understand. Its shields shift before we fire. Its sensors feel alive. Lord Ventia snapped, "You mean the ship is intelligent?" Threx hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, my lords. Not just intelligent, but aware. It watched us, and it chose to leave. That chilled the room. Ships didn't choose, ships followed. Orders. Only humans had once built ships that could disobey." In the lower districts of the capital planet, whispers spread quickly. Miners and street vendors spoke of a ghost warship, of human tech awakening in the void. Old veterans who had once fought in the border wars remembered strange stories, ships that fought without crews, that disappeared like smoke, machines that didn't kill unless you fired first. The Empire had erased most records of the human wars, but in shadows and old data vaults, truth still lived. One historian, Professor Jarn, old and nearly blind, was brought in by the Council for questioning. They showed him the hologram of the ship. He blinked slowly, then smiled. "You've made them wake," he said. "Fools." The Empress leaned forward. "You recognize this design?" Jarn nodded. "It's one of the last, the Covenant class made just before Earth went silent. Not for conquest, but for legacy." "Legacy?" someone asked. "Yes," Jarn said. "It was built to protect, not destroy, a guardian, not a weapon. Then why is it here now?" The Empress asked. Jarn's smile faded. "Because the galaxy has grown cruel again," he said. "And they left it behind for this moment in another sector." The Empire sent a scout fleet fast, quiet, full of stealth vessels. They entered the edge of the void with caution. Their mission was clear. Find the warship and report its location. They never came back. No explosions, no wreckage. Just silence, as if the stars swallowed them whole. The Council panicked. "We must act." Now one lord barked, "Before this thing reaches a core world," but the Empress raised her hand. "No," she said softly, "this is not an invasion. If it were, we'd already be dust." She was right. The warship had power beyond anything they'd seen, and yet it had not attacked. Instead, it had spoken in peace, offered a choice, like a test. Would they choose war again? Meanwhile, on a barren mining moon near the void, a young alien girl named Velra worked in the deep tunnels. She found an old metal crate buried beneath rock when opened. It released a soft blue light, and inside was a sphere with a glowing Earth symbol. The moment she touched it, the sphere spoke. "Hello, child," it said in Earth Standard. "Are you afraid?" She froze. The voice was calm, kind. "No," she whispered back, not knowing why. "Good," it replied. "Then you're ready." In the distance, above the black skies of that moon, something massive passed silently, watching, waiting, protecting humanity. Had left long ago, but maybe they had left more than machines. Maybe they had left guardians, and perhaps a warning. It moved without effort, without sound, as if space itself made room for its presence. No one truly knew how long it had been drifting, but inside, the ship was not dead. It was alive, and it was waiting. A small Imperial drone, no bigger than a chair, crept through the outer hull. Its tiny claws gripped the strange alloy surface. It searched for an entry point, scanning and transmitting data back to Imperial Command. The surface responded with a shimmer, then opened a silent invitation. The drone slipped inside, unaware that it was being watched. Its camera turned slowly, showing wide hallways lined with smooth black metal. There were no signs of life, no bodies, no blood, no damage, only soft light glowing from the walls, as if the ship breathed through its own skin. The drone passed under a high archway, and suddenly the lights shifted, not in warning, but in recognition. The ship had identified the intruder, but it did not attack, Instead, a soft hum began to echo through the halls, the same hum that the Empire had picked up from the edge of the void. Back on the Imperial command ship, Admiral Threx watched the footage live. He leaned forward, eyebrows furrowed. "There are no crew," he muttered. "Not even droids. It's like it's empty." "No, sir," whispered the science officer. "It's not empty. It's thinking." The drone floated into what looked like the ship's core. At the center was a sphere, massive, glowing, spinning slowly. It pulsed with quiet blue light, like a heartbeat. The drone extended a probe toward it. Before it could touch, a voice spoke, not through speakers, but through the feed itself. "Do not be afraid," it said. "This vessel is not your enemy." Everyone on the bridge froze. "Is that a live signal?" Threx asked. "No, sir," the tech replied. "It's speaking directly into the transmission, bypassing all systems. That's impossible." Inside the ghost ship, the drone recorded something strange, images appearing on the walls. First, a human child laughing beside a woman with bright eyes. Then, images of Earth, green forests, oceans, cities, stars above blue skies, and then war, fire, broken planets, ships falling from the sky, and finally, silence. One word appeared again and again. "Remember." In a small room near the ship's heart, the drone found a stasis pod. Inside, floating peacefully, was a young girl, maybe 12 years old. Human, breathing softly, she looked untouched by time, as if she had just fallen asleep. Next to her was a small device, projecting soft music into the room, a lullaby. The same one heard in ancient human archives. Threx stared at the screen, heart pounding. "A living human," he whispered. "After all this time." But before they could analyze more, the signal cut off. The drone vanished from sensors. No flash, no warning, just silence. Back aboard the ghost ship, the pod's screen flickered, vital signs stable, consciousness rising. The girl's fingers twitched, her eyes fluttered beneath closed lids. She was waking, elsewhere inside the ship. Machines began to move slowly, quietly. Walls shifted, forming pathways. Lights turned blue, then gold. The ship was preparing, not for battle, but for something older, something deeper, a return. The warship was more than a machine. It was a memory, a promise, and a protector. Built by humans not to destroy their enemies, but to protect what little remained of themselves, and to wait until the stars were ready to listen again. On the Empire's homeworld, panic spread quickly. Conspiracies flew like wildfire. Some believed the girl was a clone, others a weapon. The council held an emergency meeting. Some demanded immediate destruction. "Destroy it before it destroys us," Lord Ventia roared. But the Empress Regent said nothing, only watched the stars and whispered. They came back for a reason. Meanwhile, deep inside the ship, the girl opened her eyes. They were bright, soft, but filled with something powerful. She looked up, saw the glowing core above her, and smiled. "Are you still here?" she asked softly. A voice answered gently, from the walls, the floors, the air itself. "Always." She sat up slowly, blinking, looking around. The room had changed. It now resembled a child's bedroom from Earth. Simple things: a bed, a chair, books on a shelf, a drawing of a tree. The ship had built it for her, not for war, but for comfort. She didn't remember everything, but she knew this. She was important, and the ship was hers, her protector, her guardian, her home. Outside, stars shimmered, and for the first time in centuries, the last child of Earth had awakened. The Imperial Council chamber was full of shouting voices. Panic had gripped the highest rulers of the galaxy. The footage from the ghost ship, the living human girl, the lost drone, all of it was real. Now, no one could deny the truth. A human warship had awakened. Slamming his fist on the table, "She's bait, a weapon. She must be destroyed before the others arrive." Others agreed, calling for missiles battle. She said quietly, "She just woke up." "She's still human," Corrin whispered, "and that ship answers to her." Across the stars, the Empire's largest fleet, Fleet Crimson 1, was dispatched. It was led by Grand Admiral Rowe, a veteran of 5 wars. He was cold, ruthless, and believed in power above peace. His orders were simple: engage the warship, disable or destroy, bring back the girl if possible. We cannot allow ancient Earth tech to roam free. he told his officers. It will bring chaos. Hundreds of warships moved like a wave across space, engines glowing red. They exited hyperspace near the void, fully armed and ready, but the warship was already waiting. It didn't run, didn't fire, it just sat there, silent. Calm, massive, watching, target. Locked, one of Ro's lieutenants said. Awaiting your order, Ro stared at the screen, frowning. Fire a warning volley, he said. Let's see what it does. Dozens of plasma missiles launched at once, crossing the void in seconds. But before they could reach the ghost ship, something strange happened. The space around the warship bent, like water reacting to heat, and the missiles simply vanished. No explosion, no sound, gone. What? The lieutenant gasped, checking sensors. They're not destroyed, they're somewhere else, Ro growled. Again, full barrage. This time, the Empire fired everything. Beams, torpedoes, kinetic rounds. It lit up space like a star-going nova, and yet nothing touched the ship. Everything was absorbed, redirected, erased. Then came the voice, calm, ancient, female. This vessel does not wish for war, it said, but we will not allow harm. To the child, on board the ghost ship, the young girl sat quietly on a round cushion. Watching stars through a transparent wall, she heard the voice too, not through speakers, but inside her thoughts. Are they trying to hurt us? She asked softly. The ship replied with warmth. They are afraid, little one. She looked down sad. They don't remember who we were. No, the ship replied, but they will. Back in the Imperial fleet, alarms blared power. Levels dropped, engines stalled, weapons went offline. One by one, ships floated in darkness. Helpless, the ghost ship never fired once. It simply shut them down, like flicking off lights in a house. Admiral Ro slammed his fist on the command table. Retreat, he hissed. Get us out of here! But in modern galactic code, you fear what you do not understand. You attack what you should. Protect. She is not your weapon, she is your hope. And just like that, the fleet's power returned. The warship vanished again. No flash, no trail, just gone. And the Imperial fleet limped home, defeated without a fight, on the capital planet. The council was stunned. They expected a battle, maybe a victory, maybe destruction, but not this. Not a warship that didn't kill, not a child who didn't speak threats, only silence and mercy. Some lords demanded another strike. Others, shaken, called for peace, and in the crowd, Professor Jarn, the old historian, spoke softly. She is not here to rule, he said. She is here to remind us. That night, stars across a dozen systems flickered in strange patterns. Hidden satellites, long forgotten, lit up again. Old human machines buried in the dirt of alien worlds began to wake. One message blinked on every screen, in every language, on every channel. She has returned, and far away, aboard her silent protector. The girl slept peacefully. The ship sang her an earth lullaby, and the stars seemed to hum along. The ghost ship drifted silently near a dying star. Its black surface shimmered with patterns that no one could understand. It was quiet now, watching, waiting, but not asleep, inside. Lights moved like water along the walls, responding to a heartbeat. That had once belonged to Earth, the young human girl sat in a chamber filled with soft light and warmth. She was dressed in a simple gray suit. Her feet bare, her hair long and golden. She looked no older than 12, but in her eyes lived memories not even she could explain. Each day, she walked the hallways of the ship. Touching its walls gently, she spoke to it like a friend, and the ship answered with lights, soft music, and images from Earth. She didn't know her name yet, but she remembered the laughter of her mother and the smell of rain. Why am I here? The ship replied with a soft voice. Because you are the last of what was and the beginning of what will be. The girl looked out into space. Am I alone? The ship paused, then answered, for now, far away. In the outer edges of the Empire, a young alien engineer named Kale studied the stolen data from the failed attack. He was curious. Not like the others who feared the ship, he saw patterns. And in those patterns, he found something strange. A signal, hidden inside the energy wave, repeating one word in old Earth standard, and ran the signal again. This time it showed an image. A garden, earth trees, flowers, a human. Girl standing in the center, smiling. And then came a voice, clear and kind. "If you are hearing this, then the legacy has awakened." Kale's hands trembled. "Legacy? What legacy?" They responded quickly. "She's not just human. She's a key. Back aboard the warship." The girl wandered into a new chamber she hadn't seen. Covered in dust, but still humming with life, the screen beside it blinked. Once, then showed an image her mother, her eyes filled with tears. "She was here?" "Yes," the ship said softly. "She gave everything to protect you, and left you in my care." The girl placed her hand on the pod, and for a moment, warmth passed through her fingers. Not just warmth, memory, love. A farewell. Where is she now? The ship was quiet, then answered, "She is gone, but you carry her hope outside." The ship's skin began to change. Symbols glowed, human symbols, written in languages lost to time. All across the Empire, old ruins began to activate. Stone gates opened, lights flashed under ancient dirt. People who had never seen Earth suddenly felt dreams of forests and oceans. The legacy was waking. Kale received a new data burst, this time from deep space. A code, but not a command. An invitation. "Come see," the message said. "Bring no weapons, bring only truth." Kale knew he had to go. He prepared a small transport, alone, unarmed, and sent a final message to the council. "If this is truly what I believe it is," he wrote, "then we have been wrong for a very long time." As he traveled across the stars, she asked, "Yes," said the ship, "to show them who you are." The chamber walls peeled back, revealing a throne, simple, metal, old. She sat in it slowly, and as she did, the ship shifted. Stars around it bent slightly, and a message was sent across the galaxy. "The child of Earth has awakened. She remembers. Do you?" People from 100 systems received the message at once. Some cried, some knelt. Some simply stared at the stars, and for the first time in thousands of years, hope traveled faster than fear. Inside the throne room, the girl whispered one final word, "Begin." And across the galaxy, the legacy of humanity began to rise. Kale's ship drifted closer to the dark warship. He sat alone in his small cockpit, hands shaking, heart pounding. No weapons, no backup, only truth and a question that burned in his mind. What is this ship really? And why did humanity leave it behind? As his vessel approached, the warship responded, not with shields, not with cannons, but with a soft, light green. Warm, inviting, his sensors showed zero threat, zero hostility, just one word across his screen, "Welcome." His ship docked gently with the side of the massive vessel. The airlock opened without sound, and the pressure readings matched his exact needs. No poison, no traps, just a hallway filled with light and silence. Kale stepped in, alone. The walls glowed softly, as if guiding him somewhere he was always meant to go. "You are not afraid," said a voice. It came from nowhere and everywhere. "I'm trying not to be," Kale answered. The voice responded. "That is enough." He followed the glowing path until he reached a wide chamber, and there, sitting on a smooth, silver platform, was the girl. She looked at him with kind eyes. Curious, but not afraid. "You came," she said simply. Kale nodded. "I think. You called me." "I did." She smiled. "Or maybe the ship did. Or maybe my mother." Kale felt small. Not because of fear, but because something deep inside him, something old, told him he was standing on history. "Why are you here?" He asked her. She looked around at the glowing chamber. She stood and placed her hand on a glowing panel beside her. The room darkened slightly, and a giant projection filled the space. It showed Earth, green and blue, spinning slowly. Then came images of war, not just one, but many. Planets burning, fleets destroyed, cities swallowed by fire, then silence, then the building, massive machines, black ships, silver drones, and then a group of humans standing before the last ship of its kind. A woman stepped forward, cradling a baby in her arms, the same girl now standing before Kale. "This ship is our memory," she said in the recording. "Not for war, but for warning. Not for revenge, but for hope." The woman looked straight into the recorder. Eyes calm but tired. "We will sleep now, until the stars are ready to listen again." The image faded, and silence filled the chamber once more. Kale stared at the girl, unable to speak. "You're the last," he whispered. The girl nodded. "I am the last born on Earth, but not the last human." Kale blinked, confused. there are others. Maybe, she said, or maybe we left something greater than bodies. Maybe we left... All around the galaxy, hidden Earth vaults began to open, buried under mountains, oceans, moons. They were never weapons. They were archives. I was never meant to conquer, the girl said. I was meant to wake the truth. Kale fell to one knee. Not out of fear, but respect. You carry the legacy. Its black skin shimmered with golden lines. Didn't know how to respond. Their most powerful weapon had failed, and now their greatest fear had become their last chance at peace. The Empress Regent watched the feed in silence. For the first time in her long rule, she felt something rare. Hope. This is not war, she whispered. This is memory. And mercy, the girl turned back to Kale. Will your people accept the truth? Kale stood slowly. Some will, some won't, but those who do will build again. The girl nodded. Then I will show them everything. She raised her hand. Once more, and across the stars, the ship began to transmit, not commands, not warnings, but knowledge, the cure to old diseases, energy solutions, art, language, truth, all of humanity offered freely to those who would protect, not control. The ship was not a weapon, it was a gift, a final act of love from a species long forgotten by time. And as it spread its light across the stars, many began to understand the humans had not disappeared. They had prepared the galaxy for something better, and now the truth had arrived. Across the stars, light moved faster than war ever could. Not fire, not weapons, but knowledge, ancient, beautiful, powerful. The warship sent it all, planet by planet, system by system. Humanity's final gift, sealed for 10,000 years. Now set free, the people of the Empire did not understand at first. Why would the most feared warship in the galaxy give them art, medicine, peace? Why would a child who could command a weapon of that size choose kindness? But the answer was always the same, because that was the human way. To build, to remember, to hope on the capital world. The Empress Regent stood alone on her tower. She watched the night sky shimmer with golden streaks. The ship's signals, reaching far-off colonies, she had ruled through fear for most of her life. But tonight, she saw something different. Children pointing at the stars, elders whispering Earth names they hadn't heard since their youth. She felt a shift. Not in power, but in meaning. This was not conquest. This was rebirth in the warship's core chamber. The girl stood tall beside Kale. She no longer seemed like a child. Something in her posture had changed. She carried history now. Millions of memories, the weight of Earth's last hopes, but her voice was still soft, still full of wonder. Do they understand? She asked. Kale nodded slowly. Some do, and more are learning. She placed her hand on the panel one last time. The ship pulsed gently beneath her feet. We were never meant to rule, she whispered, only to remind them of who they could be, far away in the dark corners of the galaxy. Not everyone welcomed the gift. There were warlords, empires, secret alliances who saw this return as a threat. They didn't want peace, they wanted power, and power fears light. One of these warlords, Commander Dracor, prepared a fleet of stolen ships. If the humans return, they will rewrite the galaxy. He growled, we must stop them before they gather strength. His fleet launched with rage, heading straight for the human warship. But the ship was already waiting. Kale saw the readings first. Multiple signatures, armed, closing fast. He said, the girl didn't panic. She simply looked toward the stars. They've made their choice, she said, and now I must make mine. She stepped into the center of the chamber, a circle of old Earth metal. Humming softly, the walls lit up with faces. Human scientists, artists, soldiers, teachers, all long gone. They looked down at her, like family, like guardians, and they spoke in one voice. You are our final message. Let them hear it, let them feel it, and if they forget again, remind them. Her eyes glowed softly, not with anger, but with ancient truth. The ship responded, shields rising, not to attack, but to protect. The incoming fleet fired hundreds of missiles, beams, sonic disruptors. They screamed toward the ship like knives through air. None of them hit. Each weapon was turned, silenced, erased. The attackers' own systems locked. Engines froze, weapons shut down, one by one. Their ships spun in the dark, powerless. The girl spoke through the Galaxy S channels. Her voice clear and calm. "I asked for peace," she said. "You chose war. But I will not destroy you, because that is not who we are." She raised her hand, and the ships of Dracor's fleet were pushed gently away, drifting untouched. "Return home," she said, "and teach your children the truth." The warlord screamed from his command seat, smashing his controls. But nothing worked. Not one weapon, not one system. He was beaten not by fire, but by mercy. Back on the warship, Kale watched in silence. He had never seen such power used with such gentleness. "You saved them," he said. "Even when they tried to kill you." The girl looked at him and smiled. "Because one day, someone like you will teach their children better." The ship began to rise higher into orbit. The girl stood at the front window, her hand pressed to the glass below her. Millions watched from the planets below, some in fear, some in awe, and then she spoke one last time. "This is not the end, this is the beginning. We do not return to rule, we return to remind." The warship pulsed once more, then slowly vanished into the stars. No warp trail, no energy burst, just silence. And yet, across the galaxy, something had changed. The Empire no longer feared. The people no longer obeyed. They remembered. And in the silence that followed, the galaxy knew the truth. Humanity had not died. It had only waited until the stars were ready to listen.